There we go. Should be seeing something here in a minute. Oh, nothing still? I can't do this, I guess. Yeah. Not now. Okay, well, let's see if this works. Having a little bit of a problem here, folks. Technical problem. Not sure why. But we'll see if anything comes up on the screen here. Okay, all right, everybody. I'm just going to go ahead and start this. I've had a little bit of issue with this thing, so we'll try to work through it as best I can. So what I'm going to show you today is fighting formations, the 29th, which you see behind me there. And this game, I want to talk a little bit about line of sight. And line of sight is a issue that we have a lot of times with our playing, and line of sight is important in almost all the games. So the first thing to understand line of sight is that you'd have to be able to understand the terrain that's on the map. Now, almost all of our maps, and let me get you a picture of a map here. Almost all of our maps have a terrain on them, and the terrain is going to affect the movement of our pieces, and it's also going to affect how our pieces are going to be able to see each other. So what we want to do is we want to look at the terrain first and check that out. So let's look at our little player aid here, and this is the terrain for fighting formations. Now, the only thing that's going to affect our line of sight, there are three things that are going to affect it, and that's going to be at the very top line there, the building. The building is going to affect it, and that's going to, you can see that when it says line of sight in the line of sight column, it says obstacle. And the other thing that's going to affect it is the woods. And again, you can see in the line of sight, it shows obstacle there also. So the last thing is down at the very bottom there, you can see where we have our hills and mountains, and then we also, actually in fighting formation, the only thing there is depression, which is the darker green color. And those are also going to affect line of sight. So let's take a look at how all of that stuff affects it. So what I'm going to do here is we'll go to another map view here and check that out. And so on this map, actually I think I want to go to this map view. Yep, that map view is good. So this map view here, we have our terrain on here, and the two major ones is the buildings, which are all these right here, and the tree line here, or the forest or woods, I guess they would be. So these affect our line of sight. We can't see through them when we're all on the same level. So this would be a building that's sticking up, and these would be trees or bushes or large bushes where somebody could hide behind, so we really can't see them. Now, when we look at this, it also states that it affects movement for vehicles if the building or the trees are within that center dot right there. That means that this whole hex right here, even though it shows a path here, both these hexes block any vehicle movement. This one here blocks any vehicle movement, even though we have a path right there. Now, these here, the actual dot is on the inside here, which means that a vehicle could theoretically pass this way, but a vehicle couldn't go through this way. And of course, they can all follow along the road here. Now, the other thing that we have to think about when we're looking at line of sight is this area right here, which is we're going to cover is, let me move this over so you can see a little more. This is a depression. So theoretically, this area right here on our map is higher than this area right here. So let me turn this camera on here so we can have a view of that too. So I made these little counters here, and we'll go on over. So these little counters right here represent the height difference between this area here and this area right here. So this is our ground, let's say this is our ground level right here. And normally they'd be mountains or whatever, but this is our ground level, this is our depression. So our map is showing that we have a drop off right there. And we can see that drop off right here. So when something is here, and let me move that over just a little bit there so you can see better. So when we have something here that moves down into here, that is much lower, and that is hidden from everybody. So when you have this here going down here, you can't really, you can see them from this point, but if you were on this hill here, you can't, because your line of sight would be blocked. So the best way to show that is, and again, let me move this map over here a little bit more. The best way to show that is with this ruler right here, because you can see that the ruler, if you were on this hill right here for our unit, and let's say this is our unit right here, was on this hill right here, his line of sight would be blocked by this hill. He couldn't see anything that's down here because you can see his line of sight goes here. But if the unit is right here, then he can look down and he can see all of these other hexes there. So at the edge, he can see that quite easily. And let me go back to my other screen. And sorry, I'm just learning all this stuff with my camera set up here. So first time I'm using it, so you're going to expect a little bit of confusion on my part. So as we've seen up here, when we have a unit that is right here, this unit is actually higher than this unit is down here. Now this guy can see this unit because he's right at the edge of this cliff here, or this little down hill going down. If he was over here, he would not be able to see this unit at all. Now also, the other thing that could block is whenever we have buildings here. And again, I made a little piece here so that you can see that. So if this building is right here and our guy is right there, and sorry, I'll keep getting out of the screen there, I'll bring it back some. And our guy is right here, he can't see him because as he's looking at this guy, that guy is blocked. So we'll see if we can show you that here with our other camera, with our ground level camera. So you can see that he's trying to look past this building. He can't see him because that guy is right there behind it. Now, even though he is up on a hill right here, the buildings do offer a blocked line of sight. So this guy could theoretically hide behind that building. So when you're trying to look at him from this area up here, he can't see him. He's going to look directly over him. So in our rules, it states that we have one hidden hex behind any buildings from any level up here. So if this, whatever level this guy is at, if he's looking down on this one, he can't see the hex right behind him. He can see the guy over here and fire at him, but he can't fire at this guy right here. So line of sight, probably the most major part of this game is when you're dealing with hills, looking at line of sight and how they work. So when we come into another issue is that if you say, well, okay, I got a guy here and I got a guy here. And so, you know, can they both see this guy right here? And they both can. But if your guy was over here now, he cannot see this guy over here because he's going through two levels of the two of the same level here. He can't see anybody past here. This guy can still see him. And this one can still see him. This guy right here, if he was actually up on the hill right here, and we had a building right here, he could actually see this guy and this guy. If he was here and here, he could almost see him, but he's actually blocked by this one and this one. We actually have two building hexes right there. So that would block both those. So line of sight is important for us in fighting formations and in most of our other games because we need to be able to see the person to shoot at them. Is the art depicted on the blocks and hex? Well, I'm not sure. Hi, Wardy Rope. I'm just looking over here. So, yeah, the art depiction in these blocks, basically your line of sight is blocked by these pieces right here. So when we do look at our line of sight, let me see if I have my other tool here. So when we do look at our line of sight, we look at the line that goes right there going through the center. And if you look right there, you can see that that guy can see this guy in the hex right behind it technically because he's looking right through these buildings. Now, if he's looking... Now, if I'm on a commercial, now if he's looking here through these guys, then they can't see him at all because he's blocked by this shadow. So this guy could see him not being blocked by that shadow, and this guy cannot. So our line of sight is affected by the buildings or the drawings, the artwork on the map. It does affect it. So if it's depicting a forest, you can see through the forest if there's a path through it. And let me see if I can show you another setup for that here. Let me see this. I may have to look at another map to show you that. Let me just find a spot. Okay, so here is one. All right, so let me go to this view right here. There we are. So we have a guy that is here. Let's see. Let's say this guy is over here. And can you see that? Yeah, we can. This guy is here. and this guy is here. So when we look at our line of sight here, because this guy is looking straight down the valley there that's created by these two hedgerows here, he can see this guy and attack him. However, this guy here cannot see this guy. He's blocked by all of this in between. The same thing happens when we move on over into road hexes over here. If a guy is on this hex here, and another guy is on this hex, as you line up the center of them across these two hexes there, you can see that it hits across these two buildings right there, the front edge of those two buildings. So you cannot actually technically see that guy in that hex. But let's see what happens here. If we put him in that hex, if he's in this hex though, this guy could have a line of sight to him because he's going right down the middle of the road, right down in between all of these buildings. So the actual physical drawings on these maps hinder or obscure anything that your line of sight would happen to touch through and go through. Now I use this little device for that, but you can use other things to work your way through there. You can a lot of people use something like this to check out your line of sight. But the rule is, if when you're at ground level, if your line of sight is obscured by anything that it goes through in the hexes on fighting formation, it is blocked. If it is obscured by any depression or hill, it is blocked. It can only go from your firing location to the other ones without being blocked unless something is behind a building. So I don't know how well this all worked. Oh, Jester, I'm glad you stopped by, buddy. Thank you. So
Jester wanted to stop by and say hi.
yes, yeah, thank you. I'm
And
so,
Wardrobe says, I can't remember, is the art depiction that blocks or the hex?
yes, and that's what I was referring to on that, is that we talked about that. But hi, Jester. Sorry, my setup here has quite a bit of a lag. I'm amazed at how long the lag is. It's probably about a 10 or 12 second lag there between what appears on screen and what I've said, which seems much longer than live streaming things that are used when we use them online. This one here is strictly from a Stream Deck there. So hopefully, you know, I don't know if there's any other question. The only one I've seen is Wardrobe, his question, but that's about all I can see. So hopefully I explained that somewhat clearly to you. I'm sorry that I had so many issues. This is the first time I've tried this setup here, and I definitely have some bugs to work out in it, but I will try to get them to work out. Hopefully I can do that, but I thank you guys that did stop and watch, and I appreciate that, and hopefully this will help some of you out. Other than that, please do like and subscribe. I will be playing this game tomorrow with ID Jester. We will be playing this game. I believe it's at 4 o'clock my time, 7 o'clock East Coast time. My time is California time, Pacific Standard Time. So if you want to see the game actually played out and some of the other things, there's a lot that goes on with this game. And it's really, if you've not had a chance to get it, it's definitely worth getting. It was on the P500, but I think the price for the P500 is now gone on it. I think they started shipping them. Once they start shipping, you lose that discounted price. But this game is definitely one to have up on your shelves and one that you will play and play often. It's a great variety and a lot of fun. So again, I thank all of you for watching, and you know, take care. So long.